Welcome to the Christine Balfa podcast. In this season, titled Coming Home, Christine talks with Jeansonne, visual artist from Opelousas, Louisiana.
Hi, I'm Christine Balfa. I'm here today with a friend of mine and someone who's very inspirational to me as a visual artist, Miss Jeansonne. And we're here on the bayou just chatting. How you doing, Kay?
Oh, I'm doing good today. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you for coming out. I'm so glad to have the chance to visit with you. So you're part of a series that I've been wanting to do about people who are originally from our area. And for some reason or another, they move away for a little while. Yeah. And then they come back home and they make shit happen. Like things start to happen, you know. Yeah. And I just find that's interesting. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and just your life as a visual artist and just, you know, all the different things you've done.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Yeah. So when did you know that you wanted to become a visual artist?
Well, I was always interested in art as a child since I can remember. And my dad is an artist. And when I was growing up, he painted a lot and drew. And I was always amazed by what he did. So he was very influential. He had a lot of supplies, art supplies around, and that intrigued me. I was able to play with with his colored pencils and all of that. And but I think when I really knew was one Christmas, Mom and Dad gave me this awesome art kit. And I remember it. It was like it looked like a suitcase, and I opened it, and it was full of paints, colored pencils, charcoal, crayons, pastels, markers. And I just thought I was going to go nuts with
like,
all
where do you
of that.
even start with all right?
And so, when I started experimenting with different media from that kit, I was totally hooked.
And how old were you at that time?
I think I was probably, I would say maybe 8, around 8 years old at that time. And once, I really got interested in it after that, Mom and Dad were very, very supportive and with always giving me art supplies for birthdays and holidays. And so that really inspired me and fueled my ambition.
And so I'm sure it was amazing to have that kind of support in your home, like to have them, if you were interested, that they knew that they could give you the supplies to be able to do what you needed to do.
And I like with Dad, I saw what he was doing. And
can you tell me more about your dad's
Sure.
work? I'm not familiar with.
My dad used to own a grocery store in Opelousas, and it was a neighborhood grocery store, and we lived right next door to it. So I was always at the grocery store when I was a young child, and Dad would always doodle and like draw little cartoons and funny faces, and I always thought that was so amazing. And he really he didn't have any formal training in art, but he studied with a man named Bert Beagle who lived in Palmetto. And Bert Beagle was an artist for the King's Ranch in Texas. And so he was very accomplished. And Dad took private lessons with him and learned how to oil paint. And he also had books at home about oil painting and drawing. And Dad always drew and painted like things related to Louisiana, the landscape. I remember he painted like bass fish jumping out of the water and reaching for a bait on a line. And he painted swamp scenes and ducks and just beautiful stuff. And I still have a painting of his that's a portrait of a Native American man that it was done in black and white. And it is just absolutely gorgeous. And that inspired me, especially with the human form. I got interested in that. And so, he was always an influence. Yeah.
Sounds like you knew that there was, if you grow up with that, you know that that's a possibility for you.
Yes.
Right? So,
yes.
So that must have been.
Mom and Dad, it was just assumed that the kids would go to college. Like, it wasn't a question of will you go or will you not go. It was always you're going, but you can major in whatever you want to major in. And as I went through my childhood and became more and more interested in art, when I was in high school, I decided I would major in art. But prior to that, I didn't have art lessons. We didn't even have art classes in school.
I was about to ask if y'all had art classes in school.
No,
Yeah,
we did not have any art classes. For a very short time, I took drawing lessons with an artist in Opelousas, and I don't even remember his name, but he introduced me to perspective, and I think it was in middle school when I did that, and that was really interesting to me. But what I did do was I looked at Dad's art books all the time, and I started copying some of the drawings I saw in the books. And then I would get books about Disney characters and cartoon characters, and I would copy them, and like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and Goofy and Donald Duck, and and then I started making my own characters and drawing those, and then just experimenting with different media to add color to them. So that's really how it started.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you just would do that on your own. You didn't have a lot of formal training. It seems like you
Right.
just would dig around your house and look in the books and got your own things. And you knew that majoring in art, fine art, was a possibility to go to college. You decided that in high school.
Yes. I was interested in two things. One was art and one was education, and specifically special education. I had a family member, a relative that has special needs, and it just really touched my heart. And so those were the two things I was interested in. And the fine art won out at first. And I majored in fine art at LSU with an emphasis in printmaking, and did a lot of painting and drawing there. And once I graduated from LSU, I decided to go back to school and get a master's in education. So I did both of my interests.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so for your when you graduated from LSU, did you do your master's at LSU as well?
No, I did my master's at UL in Lafayette.
In Lafayette.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So once you graduated from there, what did you do next in your career? Did you start teaching?
Yes. Once I finished at UL, I taught special education in Opelousas for several years, but I had always been interested in moving away. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I was very interested in moving to an area where there were mountains. I just fell in love with mountains when I visited places like that. And I had a friend who was living in Colorado, and I went to visit her a couple of times and just fell in love with that area. And so I did, once I graduated from UL, I ended up moving to Colorado, and I lived there for almost 20 years. And during that time, I taught special education for a long time, for several years, and I was always doing my art on the side. And my partner found out about an artist that was offering classes. This was in Colorado Springs. And so she encouraged me, excuse me, she encouraged me to pursue taking classes with this group of artists. And and so I did. I started taking classes, and I think the first class I took with them was figure drawing. And it was with a man by the name of Eric Bransby, who was a pretty well-known muralist in the United States. And he had taught at the University of Kansas. And so he really inspired me to pursue this professionally. And it was a group of artists that I learned how to do pastels and oil painting from. And that really it just got me more serious about pursuing it for my living.
So at the time when you were getting involved with this group, you were still teaching full-time and art was still a part-time.
Yes.
You do art on the side as a part-time thing.
Yes.
But being around these people, these amazing artists kind of put you, said, maybe I might want to do this full-time.
Right. I saw, because for the first time, really, I saw artists that were able to make a living on it. They really didn't rely on another source of income other than a little bit of teaching art classes, but they were selling paintings. And it seemed like there were a lot of outlets for selling art in the West, Colorado, New Mexico, California, Montana, and Arizona. So it seemed like a reachable goal for me at that point. And I was still teaching when 9/11 happened in 2001. And I think when that happened, it was like everybody, you knew there was a sense of life would never be the same again. Things in our country would never be the same again. And with it being such a huge event, it seemed like it was a good time to reevaluate my life and really look at how I was spending my life, how I was spending my time, and was I doing what I really wanted to do. And although I loved teaching and I loved my students and I was a real advocate for them, I was so tired all the time at the end of the day that it was hard for me to find time and energy to put in the amount of time painting that I wanted to. And that was a huge frustration for me. Yeah. So anyway, after in December of 2001, I decided that I was going to quit teaching and pursue the art full time. And so that's what I did. And at the time, one of the guys that I had been taking classes with was selling several easels and tables and chairs that he had been using for art classes. And he was leaving the country. And so I bought all the equipment from him and started a little art school. And it's with the people I was taking classes with. But so I kind of carried on what he had already started. And
so it seems like you were able to combine your two loves of teaching, but yet teaching art.
Yes.
And also pursuing your
and I didn't teach career right away. What I did was I continued. The name of the school was it was called Cottonwood Art Academy, and when I bought the equipment from the guy, I started expanding it, and we ended up calling it Cottonwood Artist School, and because it was about artists and for artists and by artists, and so we. What I ended up doing was hiring other artists, and I was taking classes with them. So I owned the school, but I wasn't teaching. I was a student. And it really worked out great because I also expanded with bringing in artists from other parts of the country to teach workshops, like a week-long workshop. So, if there was an artist living in Montana that I was interested in studying with, I would invite them to come to the school.
Smart, very smart.
And, yeah, so it became my extended education that way.
Wonderful. What a wonderful idea.
Yeah. And then, after some time, I did start teaching there, drawing and painting. And let's see what year. It was probably maybe around 2004 or 5, or maybe 2006. I decided to turn the school into a nonprofit organization because I wanted it to be more community oriented, and I wanted to be able to get community support and grants and apply for things like that. So basically, what I did was I gave up the school that I nurtured and grew and turned it over to a board of directors and as a nonprofit, and I became an employee of the school. And the board of directors were my bosses.
That you had started. That's an interesting kind of twist.
Yes, it is. Right? It was, right.
So are you glad that you did that?
There was a point when I regretted it, but now all these years later, I don't regret it. It ended up being the very best thing because as the school grew, which it really, it was a thing where it was at the right place at the right time with the right people, and Colorado Springs was ripe for this. It was experiencing kind of a renaissance at the time. And so we expanded the school into studio spaces. We found a building that was larger. And so we had studio spaces and a gallery. Then we outgrew that space. And the building we were renting was owned by the city, and it was in poor condition, and the city actually wanted to tear it down. So we had to find another location. So the location that we found was a 40,000 square foot building.
Wow.
Like this huge 2-story space. And the owner of it was willing to make an unconventional deal with us, an unconventional setup where we got grants for part of it for a down payment, and he financed it.
Wow.
And yeah, so
he wanted to see that happen, I guess,
he did.
In his community.
Yeah, and it was right in downtown Colorado Springs. So, and we had the support of the Downtown Development Authority, because all the years since 2002, when I started Cottonwood, I really worked on developing relationships with the Downtown Development Authority and Parks and Rec and, different foundations. And so people really got on board and supported it. So when it came time that we wanted to purchase a building, we had funding and support from foundations and other people. So anyway, we were able to finance it, and we moved in, and the studios filled up. We had 75 studios in the building.
Wow.
2 art galleries.
Massive.
Yes. And classroom spaces, a space for literary arts and all different media. We had a large clay area with a lot of pottery people. We had kilns outside and inside, and it just
sounds amazing.
yeah. And it's still going on today.
It is. I was about to ask that. Is it still happening today? Have you been to visit them recently?
I do. I try to get back to Colorado to visit every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And so I keep in touch with the people there. And the director that took my place after I left is this wonderful guy, very dynamic and an incredible fundraiser. And they've actually paid off the building.
Wow.
Which was like $2 million in something like 10 years, which was like, I don't know how they did it.
Wow. That's
so,
amazing.
So they own the building outright now, and it's amazing what they're doing. They have concerts and performing arts and silversmithing and a tattoo parlor in the building and maker spaces. So it's alive and really really doing well. And the people there said we keep at the forefront of our minds the things you guys brought to us from the South, that hospitality that you had. And I think we've lost a little bit of it as we've grown, but we really do try to keep that and work at it.
They saw what you brought. So you brought some of that Louisiana hospitality with you to Colorado Springs. And
connecting with people, sitting down like this, having conversations with people. Let me make you a cup of community coffee, and here, have some pralines.
Yes.
Yes.
So they saw that there was something different in you.
Yes.
And your hospitality.
Yes. Yeah.
They didn't want to lose that. So,
right.
So do you ever miss being around? That sounds like such a inspiring and I can't even put into words what it must feel like to be around people in a space like that.
When I first moved back to Louisiana, I did miss it terribly. And I moved back because I missed my family. I wanted to be closer to my family again. I had been away for almost 20 years. And so the first few years here were very hard. It was a big adjustment coming back. And
when did you come back home?
I came back in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, 2011.
And you left primarily because you missed being around family.
Yes,
and
I
home.
needed family support and that interaction, and that was it. That's what brought me back. And I didn't know what kind of art scene there would be here. And so it was scary for me.
Especially coming from such a strong, thriving. I mean, I've never experienced what you're talking about. I can't even imagine having that and then coming back home.
Right.
Trying to find something even remotely close to that.
Because I had my studio at Cottonwood, and I could go in my studio, close the door, and work, do my painting. And then when I needed to be around other artists, all I had to do was open my door and go down the hall. And there were, other artists. We would talk about what we were doing, see what we were doing, and share ideas. And so it was hard to leave that. And then when I got back here, I checked out some different shows in Lafayette and the surrounding area. And I met some nice people, and one of the things that helped me a lot was this is funny. I went to an art show at Cité des Arts about probably less than a year after I moved back, and I was looking at the paintings, and there was this one person's work that caught my eye. And I saw the name on it was Mary Oakley. And I think she had 3 or 4 paintings in this show. And, I just thought they were incredibly beautiful. And I wanted to meet her. So I was standing there looking at a painting, and I turned to the person next to me and I said, Mary Oakley. I said, do you know who Mary Oakley is? I'd like to meet her. And she says, oh, well, that's me. And I said, well, Mary, it's nice to meet you. I'm Kay Jeansonne. I really love your work. And she was just, oh my gosh, she was flattered. And
so you knew you were home whenever you could meet the artist, and they were right there.
Yeah.
Right.
And Mary and I made a connection, and I found out she lived in Church Point, and she had a studio, but she always called it her building. She would never refer to it as her studio. She's like, well, you can come paint with me in my building. It's just this old building I have. So I went out to her place one day, and she had a building on her property that was her studio. And we went inside, and it was full, from floor to ceiling, full of Mary's gorgeous paintings. She had several easels in there, and she had a group of other women from the area that would meet with her periodically to paint together. So she invited me to join their group. So there were about 4 of us regularly that would meet every Friday and paint together. So that was my first real connection with an art community here. And unfortunately, most of the women were older, and they don't have the energy to be able to drive and paint like we used to. So we don't do that anymore, but I do still keep in touch with Mary. And she's a wonderful person. She really, her work is amazing, and she's way too humble.
Oh, how wonderful to find her, though, in that community when you came home.
And then another thing that really helped me tremendously was I heard about a place called New News Arts and Culture Collective in Arneville. So I went to an art show there, and I met someone else and made a connection there. And so I started getting involved with activities that they had, shows periodically. But I never really jumped in completely. I had responsibilities and with helping mom and dad and with their business, and so my time was kind of limited. But eventually I carved out time in my life and started renting a studio space at New News. And that changed the whole course of my artistic life here in Louisiana. So now I have a studio there. I go to New News and I paint almost every day. I have life drawing classes there. I teach painting there. It's just an amazing place that celebrates the arts and the culture of our region, the people of our region, in a wonderful, accepting, open way. It's like being home, really, truly like being home. So, I found my home and my community and my tribe, my people, whatever you call it.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
That's how I got to meet you.
Yes.
I remember seeing some of your work in there, and then I found out about the life drawing classes on Tuesday evenings, and that place. I knew my connection there was primarily playing with music, and then they also do so much with French, and I had never really dug into the art, visual art part of that. But yes, it is such an amazing place. Whenever I read about all the different things that New News does,
it's amazing.
It is amazing. And so what a great home that you found there for yourself and your art. And
So it's kind of like having the best of what I had in Colorado but having it at home.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And, there's just something special about being back here. When I lived here before, when I grew up here, I didn't realize how diverse our population is because all I knew was Cajuns and Creoles. But that's all that I knew. Well, after I got involved at New News, I started meeting people from France and Canada and China and Vietnam and African people and people from the Bahamas and the islands and Martinique and all of these amazing creative people, musicians, visual artists, and it really just opened my eyes to how wonderful and diverse our culture is here. And it inspired me to do more, I guess, more looking at diversity and people from different walks of life. And it reminded me when I was in college, I was involved at LSU with an international committee through the student union, and I met people from all different countries, like all over the world, and became very interested in that, and even traveled to some developing countries and met people, and I was so impressed with, especially with the women of these developing countries, the mothers, the grandmothers, and how these amazingly strong women held their families together and were the backbone and the strength and the comfort and everything for the family. And so I always kept that with me. And when I got involved at New News and started meeting people from other cultures, it sort of reminded me of some of my college experiences. And I started becoming more interested in making my art about that and how people from all over the world, how we're more alike than we are different. How we have, things that are important to us are important to people in Africa or people in Asia or all different continents. And that was a connection that I made with them. And especially with the women, as the mothers and the people who took care of, things at home, and to me they just seemed very incredibly courageous and strong. So I started doing my painting around that and seeking out women of all ages and walks of life, and created a show, an art show around that theme. And the show just came down at the end of December.
I was able to. I was able to go to your opening for the Divine Feminine and see, like you were saying, all the different women from different cultures, different age groups, and it was incredibly inspiring, Kay.
And great,
and so beautifully. I mean, so beautifully done. Your artwork is so beautiful, but just you talked a bit about that night, and just to hear more of what you're talking about now, it just. It was just very, very beautiful, and I loved your series that you're doing, and I'm so glad to hear that you're continuing to do that.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk a little bit about what you said about the more you traveled, the more you realized you had more in common with people than you didn't, and that's something that I've realized in my life as well. Like, sometimes when you come from an isolated area, people are a little fearful, so they think everybody's so different than us, and nobody's like us.
Right.
And so you kind of grow up with our community is a little bit like that,
Yes.
right? But the more I travel, the more I realize, well, wait a minute, these people
Yeah.
just like us. You know, like we have much more in common than we think we do.
Yeah.
And I prefer looking at it that way. What do we have in common rather than what makes us different?
Right.
And so I love that so much.
Yeah.
And your theme focusing on the women and the courageous women and what they do. And
Well, I remember I spent a summer in the Philippines when I was in college, and I lived with a Filipino family, and I remember how it struck me that they're just like my family. You know, it's a husband and a wife who love each other, and they have these 2 little boys that they're raising, and they fight with each other, and then they play, and they're loud and they're rambunctious, and they run around the house, and you know and they're very hospitable. There's so much like the Cajun culture.
Right.
It was amazing to me. And and then I spent another summer in Brazil, and I saw the same things. It's what's important to us is also important to people from other cultures.
that could have totally different backgrounds, but
Yes.
family and spending time together. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't want to have that, right? It's like
Right.
it's good to remember that
Yeah.
we have more in common than we don't.
Yes.
with people that are maybe we think of as different than
Yeah.
us.
Right. Yeah. So in my art, that's what I'm continuing to focus on and see where it takes me. I do want to look at the different cultures that we have in our area. I've met some Native American people that are just amazing and beautiful and welcoming, and so I'm getting to know, some of them, and people from Laos.
The Laotian, we have a
The
huge
Laotian
Laotian community
community.
here in our area.
Yes, in the New Iberia area. The Vietnamese people are just amazing and resourceful and courageous, and then what I think what inspires me the most is African American women in the United States. To me, they've been one of the most marginalized populations, and I see them coming into new news, or I see them in other places laughing and enjoying one another's company. And I worked part-time at Home Depot for a while, and I worked with some African American women who were just so delightful. And again, we had so much more in common than not.
Right.
And so I started doing a series of paintings of these strong Black women, and they inspire me. It's like, God, they've been through so much. I can do this life.
Maybe mine's not so bad.
Yeah.
Not so hard after all, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you like to go do for fun. Like if you're, in this area, like where do you like to go? I know you like to go to New News.
Yeah.
I've seen you there quite a bit. But are there other things in our area that you like to go and do for fun?
I like anything with music. I love Festival International. I love the music from other countries and experiencing that. I love the other festivals around the area. I love Cajun music. I love to see Cajun musicians performing. I enjoy doing what I call quick sketches in oil of musicians playing music. So I'll set up in a bar or at a concert, just a little on a little easel and a little space, and just do these little quick sketches. That's a lot of fun. I like going to downtown Lafayette, to the galleries, and I I love being involved with the art scene in Lafayette and the Hilliard Museum, and they get some amazing shows there.
Don't we have Rodin?
We have Rodin showing right now, you
I
guys,
mean-
at the Hilliard Museum in Lafayette, Louisiana.
I know. I can't believe that.
I've been.
Have you been
Yes,
yet? I haven't
several
gone
times.
yet, but I definitely
Several times. It's just incredible. I mean, I've been to France and I've seen Rodin's sculpture, but to see it here in Louisiana and at the Hilliard, and it's like you walk in and there are these 5 larger than life human sculptures that blow you away. And there are probably, I know at least 40 pieces, maybe 50 in the show that are incredible.
I wonder who made that happen.
Well, I was there one day and I was walking around just mesmerized. And there was a lady on the side of me, and I looked at her and we kind of smiled at each other and said hi. And I don't know, I just had a feeling that she was somebody important. So I said, "Are you connected with the Hilliard?" And she said, "Yes." She goes, "I'm one of the board members here." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, well, thank you so much for you guys bringing this to our community." And she said, "Well, we have a great new director here, and the board and the director are really committed to bringing world-class art to our community."
Wow.
So it sounds like this is the first of many incredible
goodness.
shows that we're going to have.
Wow, that is so exciting.
And it's interesting. I brought my dad to that show just the other day.
Really?
Oh, and I mean, I had to push him around in his wheelchair. And he was blown away by seeing this work that normally you can only see it in France, in Paris. And he was just amazed.
That is, It's amazing that we have that in Lafayette right now. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So, since you've done all this incredible work when you were in Colorado Springs, do you see how maybe here at home we can maybe strive to do some of that here? Do you think that, what do you see would be some things here that we don't have that would help our community, our creative community?
Well, one thing that I'm passionate about is education, art education. And the ACA, Acadiana Center for the Arts, is doing this great thing where they have a program where they get professional artists connected with public schools, and the artists can go in and teach a class and get paid for it. And so, I love that they're doing that with kids. Now, as far as adult art education, there are some really neat places around. And I would like to see, to expand on the educational aspect of New News. And we are doing that. We have a lot of plans in place. And
I'm glad to hear that. Because as an aspiring artist, that I would love to have more opportunity to learn.
Oh, and it's really great because I think people that have experienced being at New News and just how at home you feel there and how easy it is to be there. It's not uptight. It's not threatening. It's just easy. So to combine that kind of atmosphere with art instruction, it creates a safe place for people to learn and to experiment. And so we have many of our local artists from Lafayette and surrounding areas have expressed interest in teaching various classes, from encaustics to abstract painting to acrylic painting to pottery to sculpture and oil painting. And so there's exciting. A lot a lot coming up very soon.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I'm glad to hear
Yes.
that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
very exciting. So, if you were to see your 20-year-old self, Kay, what would you like to tell that 20-year-old self?
I think probably the most important thing would be to know that everything is going to be all right. It really is. It's like I wouldn't change my path at all. It's every experience was something that I needed in my life to teach me lessons that I needed to learn. And it always works out. And, don't stress so much. Just relax, be in the moment, enjoy it, and just know deep inside that everything's going to be okay.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I wish my 20-year-old self would know that
Right,
too.
I know. I wasted so much time
energy
worrying about things.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Are there any last closing things you'd like to tell people about yourself? Maybe your show, more of your work, or where they can find you? Or
Yeah, I do have a website, and I recently started showing my small quick sketches at Ann Conley Fine Art in Baton Rouge, and so there's that. I do participate in local shows with the Lafayette Art Association, and things that come up, I keep an eye out. And now that I had this show at New News, I created a large body of artwork for that show. So I'll be venturing out to find gallery representation, hopefully in New Orleans, and have some connections with some other galleries in other states. So that's kind of my next focus, is
like to put your
getting
work
the stuff out there more.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah,
Very
so,
exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for coming and visiting with us today. And
Thank you, Christine.
Really, really enjoyed getting to pick your brain and learn a little bit more about you.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.